Zimbabwe, this is Change Radio News. Today is Wednesday, the 18th of February 2026, and the news is read by Olive Ruzizo. And here are the news headlines. Constitution Defenders Forum member abducted, tortured and removed from hospital. Legal expert warns of political crisis over Mhlanga term extension, and European Union eases sanctions on Zimbabwe. And now for the news in detail. A member of the Constitution Defenders Forum, CDF, has allegedly been abducted, assaulted and removed from hospital by armed men. CDF says Bayard Gore of Glenora was taken from his home yesterday evening by unidentified armed men driving a black Ford Raptor. The group allegedly assaulted his brother before seizing Gore, blindfolded him, and taking him to an unknown location. According to CDF, Gore was interrogated about the organization's activities and its convener, Tendai Biti, and was severely assaulted. The forum claims he was later dumped near the City Sports Center, reported the matter to police, and sought medical treatment. However, CDF further alleges that around 2 a.m., armed, uniformed and plainclothes officers removed him from the hospital before his treatment was completed and took him to Machipisa police station. Authorities have not yet confirmed or commented on the matter. A constitutional law scholar warns that proposed amendments to extend Emmerson Mnangagwa's term could amount to a constitutional coup. Justice Alfred Mavedzenge says the plan to extend the presidential term from 5 to 7 years, postponing the 2028 elections to 2030, would bypass a constitutionally required referendum. He argues this would violate constitutional safeguards, African Union norms, and democratic principles. Mavedzenge warns the move could have serious economic and political consequences for Zimbabwe and the region, including increased instability and migration. The European Union has eased sanctions on Zimbabwe, lifting travel bans and asset freezes against individuals and entities. In a decision announced by the EU Council, the bloc removed restrictive measures while maintaining the arms embargo. The EU says it remains constructively engaged with Zimbabwe and is seeking to strengthen bilateral ties, particularly in trade and investment. The measures were first imposed in 2002, with the current framework adopted in 2011 and adjusted over time. A major fallout has hit the Vendors for ED movement in Masvingo after allegations that former national chairperson Samora Chiso and his team misused $125,000 meant for vendor empowerment. The leadership has since been expelled, triggering a reported mass exodus of members. Alpha Media Holdings senior journalist Blessed Mhlanga is set to address the Geneva Summit for Human Rights and Democracy in Switzerland today. Mhlanga will speak on Zimbabwe's press freedom challenges under the theme Silenced for Reporting, Zimbabwe's War on the Press. The mayor of Bulawayo, David Coltart, has weighed in on the debate surrounding proposed constitutional amendments. Coltart says that while it is constitutional to amend the constitution, any changes cannot benefit incumbent office holders. He cites provisions requiring a referendum for amendments affecting term limits. He argues that key constitutional question is whether such sections can be amended without a referendum, adding that attempts to avoid this process undermine entrenched constitutional safeguards. Member of Parliament for Chiredzi Central, Ropafadzo Makumire, has criticized proposals to extend presidential term limits, describing them as workplace hijacking. Makumire says elected officials cannot unilaterally extend their contracts without voter approval, arguing that doing so would violate the democratic consent. Former Tourism Minister Walter Mzembi has lost his bid for freedom in Harare court. Judge Benjamin Chikowero ruled that Mzembi has a case to answer over the donation of 4 high-value televisions to private churches. Mzembi's lawyer says they are ready to present their defense, arguing the donations were made in the public interest. Prophet Walter Magaya has applied for the prosecutor in his rape trial to be removed from the case. His lawyers allege a conflict of interest, claiming the prosecutor is a member of a church led by fellow preacher Emmanuel Makandiwa and is acting on his behalf. The application has been filed with the Prosecutor General's office. And in news from local communities, mine workers in Zimbabwe are demanding a minimum wage of $650 per month, citing rising global mineral prices, particularly gold. The Zimbabwe Diamond and Allied Mineral Workers Union says workers are not benefiting from increased industry profits. General Secretary Justice Chinema says current wages are not enough to meet basic expenses such as rent, school fees, and groceries. Police in Bulawayo are investigating the reported abduction of a 2-year-old girl at Meikles Mall. Police spokesperson Inspector Mhlanga says Asandra Ndlovu disappeared on Tuesday morning around 9 a.m. while her mother was serving customers. At the time of her disappearance, the toddler was wearing a pink jersey, a blue jean trousers, and was not wearing any shoes. Police are appealing to members of the public with information to come forward. In international news, American civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson has died at the age of 84. His family announced his passing on Tuesday, describing him as a lifelong champion of justice, equality, and love. Jackson rose to prominence as a close associate of Martin Luther King Jr. during the American Civil Rights Movement and was present in Memphis in 1968 when King was assassinated. He later founded Operation PUSH and the National Rainbow Coalition, advocating for social justice and economic empowerment. Jackson also made history with 2 bids for the United States presidency in 1984 and 1988, helping to break the racial barriers in American politics. And finally, in sports news, the Zimbabwe senior men's football team will compete in a 4-nation tournament in Botswana during the upcoming international break. The Warriors have been confirmed for the invitational tournament from the 23rd to the 31st of March, where they will face fellow COSAFA sides Malawi, Botswana, and Zambia at the Obed Itani Chilume Stadium in Francistown. The matches will serve as preparation for coach Marian Marinika ahead of the 2027 AFCON qualifiers and mark the team's first action since their exit from the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in December. To end the news bulletin, here are the headlines once again. Constitution Defenders Forum member abducted, tortured and removed from hospital. Legal expert warns of political crisis over Mhlanga term extension, and European Union eases sanctions on Zimbabwe. This concludes our bulletin for today. Thank you for listening. From myself, Olive, and the entire team at Change Radio, have a blessed evening.